Order, may I have approval of the agenda? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. John Akam, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please rise, remove your hats. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Mark Rand, could you please lead us in tonight's announcements?
Sure. We would like to remind all of our families that the School District of Beloit's winter break begins with an early release day this Friday, December 20th. Classes will resume Thursday, January 2nd. Due to the holiday and limited staffing, the Colac Education Center will be closed for public business during this time, reopening Wednesday, January 2nd. As we get into the holiday spirit, we want to invite the community to attend some of our holiday sings and concerts performed by our enthusiastic and talented students. Performances are listed under the district events link found on our homepage at www.beloitschools.net. We also have many high school winter sporting events taking place during the holiday break and invite the community to share in the school spirit and energy our nights are known to provide. On behalf of the Board of Education and all the employees of the School District of Beloit, we wish the entire community a happy, festive, and warm holiday season. This concludes the December announcements.
Thank you, Mark. Let's move forward then with recognition. Melissa, could you please lead us in those?
Good evening, everyone. I'm very excited to announce that we have 3 very special recognitions just in time for the holiday season. And first, I'd like to start by calling up our high school coach for soccer, Brian Denew, and 2 of our high school students being recognized tonight, Jose Barron and Aaron Weber. If you could please join me at the podium. These 2 young men have been part of a team that had an outstanding soccer season this year. I gotta say, they have more coordination in their little fingers than I do my whole body. The soccer team itself had a very successful season with a 14-7-3 record for varsity and 13-2-2 for JV. And these 2 players are a couple of the outstanding ones. Sophomore Jose Barron set the single-season goal scoring and single-season point total record this year with 30 goals and 10 assists. He is the season's most valuable player and was named second-team all-conference as a midfielder, the first time in school history a player has been named to first or second team multiple times in their careers. Senior Aaron Weber is this season's Offensive Player of the Year. He had become the leading career goal scorer in Beloit Memorial High School history. He also earned honorable mention all-conference for his standout season.
Well, thank you for giving us the opportunity to come and honor our kids tonight. I have coached in Beloit for 5 years at the varsity level, and we have an absolute outstanding group of kids that are playing for us right now. It's an honor to have these 2 kids, show some recognition for them, because it's hard work playing soccer. And these kids, they're both our captains, 2 of our 4 captains. And I always tell anybody who talks to me about our program is, it's nothing I do or our coaches do, but we have our leaders, and they're the hardest working kids that we possibly could have, and all the kids follow that leadership. And it's been an honor to coach Aaron for 4 years and to see him grow as a person and as a player. Mr. Barron we get for 2 more years. And I think next year, and barring injury and all that fun stuff, he should be able to break Aaron's record as a goal scorer. So I am very privileged to be here with these guys tonight, to be able to help them progress as players. And it's just an honor to work for the school district and have these guys and a bunch of other kids working their tails off day in and day out to get better. And next year, this will be the best team that I've had in my will be my 6th year. So if you get the opportunity to come out and watch these guys, at least one of these guys, they're going to do some special things. So thank you very much.
And I have the honor of presenting these certificates for you to Jose Barron in recognition of outstanding soccer season for Beloit Memorial High School, including most valuable player, second team all conference, and BMHS record setter for single season goal scoring and point total. And to Aaron Weber in recognition of an outstanding soccer season with Beloit Memorial High School, including Offensive Player of the Year, becoming the leading career goal scorer in BMHS history, and earning honorable mention all conference.
Thank you, Melissa, and I want to say thank you first to Coach and say we know how hard being a coach is and the hours that are put in, and obviously your hard work is paying dividends not only in the numbers that we see, but in the outstanding players that we see. And to both of our players and our student athletes, I want to say thank you for making us Beloit proud, for going out there and being a student first and being an athlete second. And your athletic skills obviously shine as much as your academic skills do. So thank you for shining as bright as you do for Beloit and for making us all proud. Thank you.
Next up, I'd like to call to the podium one of our high school educators, Matt Flynn, along with his principal, Dr. Tom Johnson, and one of our district reading specialists, Cynthia Slavish. Matt Flynn has accomplished something that not many people can say they have done. National board certification is a tough process to go through for any teacher. Less than 2% of all teachers in Wisconsin have done it. And Matt Flynn, first year going through this process, has done it, received that national board certification. So to tell you a little bit more about that is Cynthia Slavish, reading specialist.
Thank you, Melissa. We are here to honor Matt Flynn. In case you're thinking you're in the wrong stadium, you're not. This recognition is about teaching, not football. And Matt, just in case you were seeking that Super Bowl ring, notoriety, or that bowl game bonus, you might want to consider changing your name to a certain south of the border Bear quarterback, Jay Cutler. There's a rumor floating around that the Bears are in charge in this building. You may not be as famous as the other Matt Flynn, but you are accomplished. We recognize you tonight in our school district. In January, WEAC will celebrate with a pinning ceremony. The National Board celebrates 25 years this year. It was created in 1987 with the mission to establish high and rigorous standards for what accomplished teachers should know and be able to do to develop and operate a voluntary national system to assess and certify teachers who meet those standards. And it was created to advance related education reforms, all with the purpose of increasing student learning. The National Board seeks to elevate the status, voice, and role of accomplished teachers in shaping a true profession. This includes raising public awareness with respect to the cognitively complex, collaborative, and expertise-driven nature of teachers' work, and recognizing accomplished teaching through a rigorous professional certification process comparable to those found in other premier professions, such as medicine, engineering, and law. Matt, you have demonstrated a firm grounding in content knowledge with a 6-part exam. You have established and maintained supportive learning environments, assessment practices, and equitable and fair treatment of all students, to name just a few examples of the National Board's teaching standards. In addition to the exam, you have video recorded and analyzed your practice, and you have documented accomplishments that positively influence student learning. Kathy Anderson, one of Wisconsin's finest and most active National Board certified teachers, says, "There is a level of risk when you attempt change. Be the change needed to catapult the teaching profession to the next level. It is worth the risk." Unquote. Matt, you exemplify change in yourself, your building, and our district. You have motivated and inspired us as teachers to look for greatness in our students and in ourselves. I'd like to finish with a quote from Thomas Edison. "Being busy does not always mean real work. The object of all work is production or accomplishment, and to either of these ends, there must be forethought, system, planning, intelligence, and honest purpose, as well as perspiration. Seeming to do is not doing. You are doing, Matt. You are accomplished. Keep doing and inspiring others to greatness. Congratulations on being one of 1,014 certified Wisconsin National Board teachers.
For those that don't really grab this is a really big deal. It is a big deal to become board certified in education. And as you've heard, not many people are. It's a lot of work. And beyond that, Matt, what you did in this process is you involved other people. You got this going at a district level. So now we have cohorts. I just saw one the other day meeting in here, studying, trying to work through this process so that Beloit can lay claim to having more national board certified teachers than other districts. And I would commend you for that. I'd also say, national boards aside, Matt's a really good teacher. Like, really good teacher. He's a kid magnet. They're agreeing. They're in his room. For an administrator to be able to walk in there and see his technology integration, it's phenomenal. Matt could do so many different things beyond what he's doing in the classroom, and he is. He's really spreading a sea of change with regards to how instruction looks in this new millennium. And I would just commend ask any board members or anybody, spend some time in his classroom. Have some conversations with his students that are in his classroom. He's making a big difference for the students, but also for his fellow faculty members. Very reflective practitioner, able to come to the administration with suggestions, questions, ideas. He is somebody you want on your staff, and I'm so glad that he brought his family here so that they could hear that. He's top notch, so congratulations.
I don't know. I didn't really plan anything. Pretty excited about getting this done. Glad my kids could stay up past their bedtime, actually. They don't know what's going on. It was quite a relief. I found out 3 weeks ago that I passed. And it was, like Tom said, it was a pretty big deal. I was sitting in my bed with my district-provided iPad, thank you, just refreshing until the scores came out at midnight, until I could get my scores. So I'm just excited for the other people that are going to be going through the process. It's a very rigorous, fortifying, humbling experience to see what you do well, what you need to work on, and the fact that we're going to have so many more master teachers to show everyone else how awesome our teachers in Beloit are on a national level. So I'm just excited to be kind of at the foundation of something really cool that's going to be putting us on the map nationally even more than we already are. So I'm just excited to be a part of it. Thank you.
And I have to say, I have observed Matt in his classroom, and it's just absolutely phenomenal, the way he relates to students and makes it fun. I wanted to stay there. I had other stuff to do, but I get to be the one that has the honor of presenting the certificate on behalf of the Board of Education in recognition of outstanding dedication to the education profession, demonstrating effective leadership and communication with stakeholders, increasing student achievement, and earning national board certification. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Missy, then John Acom.
Matt, you make us Beloit proud. Thank you so much for what you're doing and the honor that's bestowed on you. And I think the nicest thing is how you're helping other teachers do this very thing. You're creating an enthusiasm. I would also like to say that the presenter of your award, Cynthia Slavish, years ago, when I was still in the system, I am so proud to say that I helped her get her national certification. And just by your introduction, Cynthia, you can see how important it is, and we respect that, both of you and all the others that are going to come in the way. So thank you so much.
John Acom.
I'm just going to add, Matt, I mean, Tom was right. This is a very big deal. There's no doubt about it. But I think that what is even a bigger deal is the way that you've become a salesperson for this program with your peers, the way you've exercised leadership amongst your peers in getting others involved, getting others interested, getting others committed to being in this program. You have sown the seeds of an incredible change in the Beloit School District, and a very positive one. Thank you.
Jesse?
I would just like to say, after having Mr. Flynn as a teacher last year, that he deserves every bit of recognition that he's receiving. His ability to connect with his students and make his classes both interesting and educational is amazing, like no class I've had before.
Steve?
I just want to congratulate you, Matt. All the things that everybody has said is 100% true. You deserve it all. I think above and beyond that, what people really do need to hear in all of the conversation is I think it's the most rigorous thing a teacher can do as far as improving their skills and their practices. And a lot of times they take it on without the reward, and they do it in a selfless way to make sure that they are getting to be the best they can in their profession. And you know, a lot of people have already said it, but now all of a sudden we have 50 people in track to possibly get their national board certifications, and you and Cynthia paved that way, so thank you so much.
And Matt, I'm going to round it out by saying with Act 10, we heard a lot of that our educators are no longer going to dare to dream. And you are one that articulated what the dreams are and can be, not only for yourself and for your fellow educators, but for the district. And I want to say thank you on behalf of the Board of Education for daring to dream and for being that consummate professional educator, not only for your students, but for your coworkers as well. And you and Cynthia being willing to give of yourselves, even as you're going through the process, or even after you've received your certification, is outstanding. And it shows the true dedication and the cooperation and collaboration that we have amongst our educators, our staff, and our district that I think is unmatched within the state and perhaps within the nation. And this is the beginning of what is yet to come. And the energy that you exude, your willingness to help others, Beloit Proud could not be any further enhanced by what you're doing. So thank you, and thank you for making Beloit as the shining star that we are and where we're going so much. Thank you both. And congratulations.
Now we come to our last recognition of the night, and this is one that is really touching. And to help me with this, I'd like to ask Aldrich Principal Mark Smullen to join me at the podium, along with a true hero, Mike Vance.
Hi, everybody. I'm the principal at Aldrich, and Mike Vance is labeled as a custodian, but honestly, he's much more than that. Every day you come into school, everything's perfectly clean. He always cleans up the hallways. He's nonstop, 100%, and this goes before school, after school, and all. And one of the things that you would never, if you're at a middle school, being at middle school lunch is tumultuous at times. Depends on the meal of the day. Because like, hey, what can I sign up to get that new meal meeting? Because I want to get the food changed and what's upset, who's upset. But it's unreal. He is such a great connection with kids. Kids love speaking with him. They love playing around with him. And his efforts just in the lunchroom. He's always in the Commons lunchroom every day, 3 lunches a day. Doesn't miss a beat. What happened about 2 or 3 weeks ago, about 2.5 weeks ago, is that we had a student in 6th grade, didn't have much to eat. It was a Monday, didn't have much to eat over the weekend, was really, really hungry. So you talk about the food service, he was really on it, and the kid sat down at his table where he always sits. Mike and another teacher were doing lunch duty, and kid all of a sudden started choking, a bunch of kids all on the table. So alerted Mike. He was first to respond, and within a second or two, he's right there. Remove the kid from the table, give him the old-fashioned Heimlich a couple of times, real hard times to get those things out. And sure enough, 3 chicken nuggets popped out. I mean, oh my God, you talk about a hungry kid. So, but the thing is, Mike not only dealt with it in a positive way, he didn't let the kids humiliate the other kid. The other kid, you know, he needed quite a bit of time to recover. Went to the nurse for a while, and even to this day, we even have some teachers, you know, put up a banner just the other day. It was like St. Mike Vance, support a hero, and so you talk about heroes. I mean, Mike is a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, so sorry, Mike, but he is. So I mean, one of the greatest legends in Dallas Cowboy history is currently is Michael Irvin, and his other legend he loves to watch is UNC basketball, and he loves Michael Jordan. But honestly, he is our hero, and he's our legend at our school. He does a great job, and I just want to say thank you very much to Michael Vance. You're welcome. Our staff has bought Michael Vance one of these, so it'll be coming in. So he's a little bit bigger size than me, so it's I gotta give him a new one. So it'll be here in a couple of days. So I just want to say our staff chipped in for a couple of some awards for him, and I think Melissa has a few things to add.
I have to say, as a parent with a child that's going to Aldrich soon, I feel very secure knowing that people like you are there looking out for their safety. And I get to be the one to give this to you. I'm so happy. This certificate's for you in recognition of the heroic recovery of an Aldrich Middle School student in respiratory distress through quick reaction, knowledge of emergency response procedures, and successful use of the Heimlich maneuver. Let's leave it standing.
I'd just like to say I really appreciate the honor. I'm glad I was able to help the student, and everything turned out fine. It could have been a tragic situation, but it turned out to be a great day at Aldrich. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You know, I don't think you can say enough about this guy, and I can tell you this, when you go about, and we have a lot of great people that work for us in the school district of Beloit. We're always proud of that. What Principal Smullen said about a clean school, this is the cleanest school in the district. This guy takes such incredible pride every day, but more importantly, as a superintendent that visits every building and periodically doesn't necessarily want to run into one human being or another, this human being every day is a good day. He has a great day every single day. He's great to kids, he's great to staff, and we appreciate everything you do.
And Mr. Vance, I want to say, we're recognizing you for being a hero for this one incident, but in my household, to my boys and to so many kids, probably every kid that's ever gone through Aldrich, you are a hero every day for what you do. They told me that you're the one to go to if they can't get in their locker, if they don't know where to go, or if they lost a pencil. Mr. Vance is there because he's got a stack of them that he's gathered. So yes, we're recognizing you for this one incident, but it's much larger than that. You are a hero every day to so many students in that school district, in that school. I apologize for what you do and for your heart, your compassion, and your dedication to the school. So thank you for who you are, for what you are, and what you are to the school district. And words cannot encompass it. Thank you so much.
Oh, before you go, Mike, a little birdie told me we have someone else here that would like to say a few words. So, Michelle, would you like to come up?
Good evening. My name is Michelle Weldinger. I am the HR manager for the state of Wisconsin and Northern Illinois for ABM, who is now Mr. Vance's employer. And what an honor it is for me to be here today. I came down from Green Bay this afternoon to be here with Mr. Vance with my colleague Rachel. And to hear your words, your congratulations, your support of Mr. Vance being from a janitorial company is not something that I get to hear every day. Being in HR, I don't have the most pleasant job every day, so thank you for being here to support Mr. Vance and for really giving us an acknowledgement. I don't get to hear that very often, and to hear it from such pristine adults and peers is just fantastic. So, Michael, on behalf of ABM On-Site Services, thank you for your heroic event and for acting without hesitation. And to honor you and thank you, we'd like to present you with this check for $1,000 on behalf of ABM Janitorial for you to use for you and your family, and just our appreciation and really what it means. Yes, we are janitorial, we clean toilets, but my gosh, look at what he does, look at what he did, and we don't know what we would do without these type of people every day. Everyone is here to make the world keep flowing, especially Mr. Vance on that day. So thank you very, very much for being a part of our team, our association, the Beloit family, I'm sure, as we work together and we do this together. So thank you.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
John Acom.
Mike, I just want to say it might be a little hard to take that through the drive-in window at the bank. So, oh, good.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, everyone. We are now at the time on the agenda if there are citizens or delegations that would like to speak to area of interest that is not included on tonight's agenda. I would ask that you rise and approach the podium. And again, I will call for anyone that would like to speak to an area of interest that is not posted on tonight's agenda. I would ask that you would rise and move towards the podium at this time. All right, seeing none, I'm going to move forward now then with superintendent's reports to the board. With that, Steve McNeil, please.
As practice has been, we have a couple of school reports tonight, and reporting from McLenegan, we have Jennifer Fanning, and I think she brought some teachers with her.
Thank you for having McLenegan here. I am Jennifer Fanning, principal, very proud principal from McLenegan Elementary, and I brought two outstanding teachers with me here this evening. We have Jennifer Short, who represents our 5th grade leadership team, and we have Jennifer Sheevy, who is also one of our 4th grade teachers, who will be presenting with us tonight. So we're very excited to come and show you what's new at McLenegan and what's happening here along the ways. So you see we have a few pictures here. These are 2 new staff members that have joined us this year, along with other staff members. Stacy Nemitz joins us from Janesville. She has about 18 years in her field of expertise, which is just outstanding that we've inherited this wonderful person on our staff. So she's our social worker, and she joins our student services team here in Beloit. So that's very exciting to have her. She's instantly made those connections with our students and our families, and is already hooking up resources in our families with the community, so we're really excited to have her as part of our team. Diana Camacho is our school secretary, and she is the first face you see when you walk through the door. She instantly knows who's coming in, and she has this natural gift. When parents come in, if Spanish is their native language, instantly she switches right to that for them. And it's just fluent, and our families are just so welcomed by her, and it's just wonderful to see that interaction between the others. Now, the last one you might think is a little bit silly, but I am so excited at our facilities that are coming into McLenegan, because for a long time, it was impossible to even wash a dish in the sink in our lounge, because you had to hold the toggle down, and if you wanted hot water, you had to hold it over here, and then you had to find a third person to actually wash it. So with the help of Jeff Jacobson, it's really exciting that we got a real faucet and hot water all at the same time. So that was exciting things at McLenegan, and let me tell you, things are only going up from here. So that's wonderful. Go ahead. Yes.
Oh, okay.
We'll pick up your voice better here.
Okay, perfect. This is one of the new exciting things we have at McLenegan in 5th grade, is all of the teachers in 5th grade are doing the Lucy Calkins reading workshop. So we're fortunate enough that we arranged some schedules, and we have team taught rooms in all of the 5th grade rooms for the entire reading block. So we do a mini lesson for the reading, and then we do a mid-workshop teaching point where we stop the reading in the middle of the reading block to discuss things that we notice that the kids are doing or clarify things as we need. And then during their reading time, we actually get to go around and do individual conferences with the kids to see specifically for them what their needs are, how to improve their reading, and how to excel them forward. And then at the end, we wrap it up with a share where all of the kids get to share something about their reading, either as a whole group or with a partner.
Fantastic. This is, as you know, Beloit has adopted the Lucy Calkins, the writing workshop as well. We were fortunate to have a 5th grade team to be so excited to take on the reading, and a curriculum department that was supportive in providing those materials for us, and we're building those. But then now we've also launched this writing curriculum. So to celebrate these writings, we have a bulletin board that you can pass by and see in McLenegan. And I was walking by this bulletin board one day and I saw a student standing in front. I said, "Oh, honey, what are you doing in the hallway?" She was like, "Well, this is one of my friends writing up here. I was just reading it." Oh, I was like, that is perfect. Can you just stand right there for a moment? I just got to take out my phone and take a little picture right away. So we celebrate student writing every day. These aren't perfect polished writings. These are in progress as we go along, and we make those better every day. So those change periodically as we go throughout. Every month we do a new writing in there. We also have a board that we're working on for staff writings as well that you can see as you come through the building too.
To piggyback what she just said about celebrating student writings, at the end of every unit, there are 4 units in writing. At the end of every unit, we have a huge celebration to celebrate all the hard work that the kids have done. So each classroom has a publishing party where the kids can share their writing. They celebrate all the great things that they have done. Families are invited. Some teachers might have snacks. But the kids are so excited then to move forward and start a new piece of writing. And it really, really gets kids excited about what they're writing, and they have a chance to share that with everybody. So.
We call this our first annual Hispanic Heritage Night. Lenore Keating, who is a speech and language specialist at our school, came up with this idea of how can we really celebrate our Latino families and bring that culture together. So we had our first annual Hispanic Heritage Night where we had all different foods brought in. Our Even Start dancers came in and they presented for all of the families that were there. We had piñatas that they were breaking, and let me tell you, the kids went crazy over that. That was so much fun. But as we look at our attendance, we had over 140 people there in our gym that night celebrating that culture, and it was just amazing to bring families together. And it wasn't just our kids. Their whole families and their extended families were coming in, and families I had never met before too. So that was really exciting for me to be a part of and to see that and watch everyone's excitement coming together as a big community right there at McLenegan. Our PBIS team, boy, are we working. We have moved into Tier 2. So Tier 1 is our universal, where everybody is receiving that positive instruction in behavior, and we're recognizing and rewarding that. We're now moving on to Tier 2, so we're getting a little more specific targeted instruction in behavior supports for our students. We just started this week check-in and check-out. Already we've had some positive benefits with those, and a check-in and check-out is simply a positive adult in their lives, and then tracking the behavior throughout the school, but making sure that they're keeping that positive, checks as they go along, and then they check out at the end of the day. So really moving along, we have both a Tier 1 and a Tier 2 team now. We review the data, we share that with the staff, and we have monthly celebrations of those positive behaviors as well.
We also have, in our school, we have a CDS classroom, and we've done some partnerships with the CDS classroom for not only their benefit, but for our benefit as well in the gen ed classes. So, for example, Mr. Jones's class, they partner up for science activities so that either they go into the CDS class or the CDS students join their classroom and they get to do some science experiments and do some science activities together. My class has gone in and done some cooking activities with the kids, so my students might help measure things out to help make the recipes. They also are joining in for some of our specials like gym and music. They actually join the gen ed classes to go in for the gym and music classes. And this coming week, they'll be joining some of our classes for some of our special activities for the week as well. So just making sure that we're including everybody in our activities, which has been going amazingly well for everybody.
All right, well, a few weeks back, we wrapped up the WKCE test, but before we started, to get the kids super excited about it, we held a pep rally, which the idea came from another elementary school, I believe. I think it came from Burge, but...
Absolutely, yes. We do recognize that.
Okay, I just wasn't sure where it came from. But we got the kids so excited. We brought them in an assembly. We had some high school kids. We had 2 wrestlers, Mark Hallett and Gerardo Badillo, come in. The Nightingales came and cheered, and the kids were so excited. They actually had cheers like for the WKC, and the kids were like, oh my gosh. They thought it was the greatest thing. Yeah, every morning when the kids came in to go to their classrooms, we had music pumping the kids up. And then we showed them a YouTube video about doing their best, and it could have been our kids in there. Like, these little kids were dancing. It was the greatest thing. The kids were so excited. And so when the test actually came, they did their absolute best, and it was amazing.
We also wanted to talk about our after-school program. We have an after-school program 2 days a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays that we have 4th and 5th grade students, where we have our classroom teachers and other volunteers are teaching. They get math and reading. If they were below math or reading, they got to go into the after-school program. And at the time that this was made, we had 92 students, but we actually have been improving and expanding our after-school program, so we have even more students now. We partner with Beloit College, so they actually come in and help work with students and help tutor students. And then every student can have busing regardless of where they live, so transportation is not an issue. The students who need extra help get it regardless of transportation issues.
Another really, really fun family night that we had was Trick or Treat movie night. The kids came in costumes. We had 2 short movies for them. Families came dressed up. We even had some school board members there. Not dressed up, but they were there. And we had over 150 people in attendance there, so that was a lot of fun for us.
Our Jogathon is our one main fundraiser that we do at school, and it's just wonderful because I always say when I have kids come to my door, I'd rather just give them $10 and say, I don't want anything back, please just take the money and put that towards there. So this is just straight profit that the kids raise for themselves for things to be doing through our PTO. So this Jogathon this year, we raised over $3,600, which was really amazing that these kids worked that hard to raise that. But we had a spirit week all the week, so you can see the twins that we had and how well they were matched. We even had 2 teachers, Mrs. Gagne and our brand new Ms. Studeman, both dressed up as twins that day too. So we had different days to celebrate that leading up to the jog. It was a little cold and rainy that day, but you know what? When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, and we sure worked with it. We went from inside to outside, and we just made it work. It was wonderful. So, and then we wrapped up with a little bit of teacher torture. So some teachers did get some silly string, and somehow I got silly string twice in that matter too. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but just great fun for the kids to be part of.
We had student council elections to elect the representatives. So we actually held elections where the students elected in our classroom some of the candidates for officers. And then as a whole 5th grade class, all of the candidates presented their speeches to the rest of the grade. And then the kids actually got to vote on SurveyMonkey on the computer so that they got to choose who our representatives were. Then after we chose who all of the representatives were, then we got to choose our classroom representatives. So even if the classes didn't have a representative on the actual board, they still had representation for all of the meetings. So they are in charge of doing some smaller fundraisers through the school and helping plan some different activities that are really exciting for school.
Something we did right before Thanksgiving break was we had a fall family luncheon where we invited all families to come in and have lunch with their kids, and here's a couple pictures. The kids were so proud to have their families come and sit and share their friends, share their food, and just have some good conversation. It was a great opportunity for parents, staff, students, everybody to connect on a non-academic level, so the kids really enjoyed that.
This has been one of our biggest parent nights, the dish about our favorite dish. This has been one of my favorite events that we've had my entire time teaching so far. First, we have to recognize Lenore Keating. She was mentioned previously about the Hispanic heritage. She put all of this on. This was one of her suggestions, her ideas. She organized the entire event. She did some press about it to all of our parents, and she was phenomenal through the whole thing. What we had was the kids prior to the event wrote about their favorite recipe, a recipe that had a memory to it or something that was really special to them. Then on the actual night of our dish about your favorite dish, they brought in that dish and had their writing next to it. So not only did we get to see all of the recipes that were important, we got to do a little tasting and read about everyone's different recipes. And Mrs. Fanning actually partook in that and wrote her own recipe that she's going to tell you about. But this was a fantastic night. There were kids that came in that were so excited to share a piece of themselves with everybody else that they were running around, make sure you try my dish, make sure you try mine. So it was a fantastic night.
We have a lot of themes around food, but I tell you, food brings the people in. I did my writing, and I specifically wrote it with the intention that it was going to be a first draft, and I hung it out in the front so that people could see that. And I took it into a classroom. I took it into Casey Hallett's classroom, and she presented this fall when we came back to school to the elementary teachers about writing workshop with Lucy Calkins. So I took my writing in thinking, well, she'll give me 1 or 2 suggestions that I can take from here, and I'll go back and make my writing better. And so we sat down, and I came in during her writing class, and we modeled that for the students around us. And Lucy Calkins tells us you purposefully speak loud enough so the kids around you can hear what's being taught. So we sat right together side by side, and she gave me the best feedback on my writing that I believe I received in my education career. Casey Hallett really is an outstanding teacher, but she has taken this writing curriculum extremely seriously and has done a wonderful job in her classroom. So she pointed out more things that I think I could ever improve in my writing in the second draft, but I have gone back and started working on that. So this event was fantastic, and people came by and they said, and I brought my mom's famous mashed potatoes, and they came by and they said, you did writing too? I said, well, yeah, that was part of the assignment. Well, I want to read your writing. So kids were interested in what people were writing about. It was just a wonderful night, and Lenore just has these great, wonderful ideas, and she follows through with all the details. So we're really grateful for her there. So you can see we have some ambitious goals for parent involvement. This is one of our student learning objectives in our building, is that we increase our parent involvement, and we're actually tracking that and monitoring how many community members we have coming into that. We do have a volunteer sign up. We have that on our Google Doc, so we can sort for each event who would like to come in, who wants to be part of that and helping. And the great thing is that we've had so many people sign up, we don't always have to call everybody in. That's so wonderful. We've added the Hispanic Heritage Night, a math game night, which we had, a reading restaurant, which is coming up in January, and then dish about your favorite dish. So we really want to increase that parent partnership, because boy, do we sure notice that when our families are in, they take an active part of that education, and that just increases all of our student achievement. That is the end. Do you have questions for any of the Jennifers here tonight?
Jenny, come please.
I don't know if it's so much of a question, but I have to say that ever since I've been on the school board, I've been advocating that we do more with writing. And we've now adopted the Lucy Calkins program, and I'm seeing the benefits of it and what you guys are doing with it tonight. I think it's just fantastic. I know that we're really just getting started with it. We had people in New York City over the summer learning about it, and I have to say that that's great. It's great to see it in action. It's great to see the results, and I'm just really glad you had a chance to share it with us.
Thank you.
I want to say thanks for sharing with us tonight too, and I have to say that one of your slides made me nudge John Acom here as curriculum chair. I saw cooking, and I'm like, we got cooking in our elementaries, we got cooking in our high school, so we need to bring this back to curriculum. And the focus on food, because I too believe food brings people. I know how to bring me. So, but apart from food and everything great that you're doing, I want to say thank you to all three of you that are committed to your entire staff, and it obviously is showing through the involvement that you have not only through parents but through students. So it's exciting, and it truly shows that the work that we put in is certainly paying dividends. So thank you for making us proud, and thank you for showing us everything you're doing, because there's no way that we have any idea of all that excitement that's going in on a day-to-day basis within your school. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Steve?
Okay.
Okay, next on deck we have Melody Wirgau talking about the new and improved Todd Elementary.
Yeah, Todd, you want to help?
Yes, I can talk about it, but I said it.
With my BlackBerry.
I'll just start talking. I sent her the PowerPoint, but I don't know if it's.
We have it in our packet. We do.
You have it in your packet? So, okay.
We do.
Okay, I'll start talking about it. Thanks again for letting us come. I'm sorry I don't have teachers, but we spent about 24 hours this weekend moving. So I did really good to get teachers to work the last 2 days, so I still had to go home today. We literally moved Friday night till about 11, and we moved all day Saturday and part of Sunday. So they were a very dedicated staff. Every child is in their new spot in the building at this point. So,
Wow.
but if you go through the slides, the one thing that we focus on a lot at Todd is the data, and I just put a sample in there of what we're looking at this year. We work with the reading specialist to try to focus in on what our students need to work on specifically in reading. Because the big thing that we notice is that at that K through 3 setting, if we don't get them at grade level, then we're struggling forever in reading. So we met with Angie, we met with Lene, and we really looked at the reading and how we could increase our universal instruction. So that's just a sample of the slide that I sent. We do this for every grade level, every teacher, so that we can meet monthly and talk about the data and what we can do to increase the literacy scores in our building. So we're seeing good successes. We spent a lot of time with the coaching. One of the things that the district really focused on this past year was coaching with the reading specialists, because we know that we don't have enough manpower to provide interventions for every child. So we felt it was very important that we increase the instruction in the classroom through the universal instruction. So our reading specialists are spending at least 50% of their time coaching the teachers. So that's been a major focus for us, is how do we coach the teachers to beef up their universal instruction? And so we've worked a lot with reading. If you go on to the next slide, one of the things that Todd was really excited about, this is our 3rd year really of implementing PBIS at Todd. And so we started out with Tier 1, and Jennifer talked about the Tier 1 instruction. And we felt that we were really strong in our universal instruction, so we went for Tier 2 training last year. And so we were recognized at the state this past summer as a school of distinction for PBIS. We track our data monthly, and we have a PBIS meeting. We have a Tier 2 meeting, Tier 2 team meeting, and a Tier 2 and a Tier 1 team meeting. What we've noticed is that definitely we're working with the little people, but rarely do we have a discipline referral. Most of our things are solved at that problem solve. I probably average maybe 2 to 3 discipline referrals a month, and some of those are coming from the bus.
Yeah, we know about that.
They come from the bus. But they, within the building, because we are dealing with, part of our role as primary educators we teach the children how to behave. And the whole premise behind PBIS is that you don't assume that students come knowing how to behave. We have to teach them those social skills. And so we front load a lot of that information, and I put a couple samples of a tool tools in there that we use. We have about 30 to 40. We develop more cool tools along the way if we need to. If we see that there's a problem in a certain environment in our building, we'll develop a new cool tool to address that. I also put a sample of our Todd matrix in there that was developed with our teachers and our PBIS team, so that is available as well. I put a sample of the problem solve and the cool tool. So I think over the years, PBIS has taken a stronghold within all of our buildings. And so we do have that universal language. We use it consistently with our teachers. Are you playing with it, man? You found it? The other thing that we meet monthly on is RTI. And so we take a day, usually the last Friday of the month. We have RTI in the morning, PBIS in the afternoon. I have my leadership team that works on that. We really focus on what are we going to do with those students that are falling out at that universal level. So then we look at that whole RTI. What are we doing in literacy? What are we doing in math? What are the strategies could we use to help students that aren't meeting the benchmarks at that point? So we were fortunate to also be recognized at the state this year for our RTI implementation at Todd. So it's been exciting for us to keep working through that process. We know it's not perfected. We know that it's always an ongoing project because every year a new face comes through that door and they might have a different need. And so that's part of our goal. And with 420, I think we're at, well, we lost 3 today, so we might be down. Somebody moved back to Delvin today. But it's an ongoing process. And again, every time we meet, one child that we talked about the previous month might be doing really well, but someone else might be falling through the cracks. So that's an ever-changing project. We were invited to come to the state this summer to speak about RTI, so we have to work on how we're going to do that. I talked a little bit about the coaching and the whole literacy piece. Right now, in our primary schools, every student other than 4K does MAP testing 3 times a year. We do WKC testing. Now we do PALS testing for kindergarten and first grade. And we do BAS running records at least quarterly. So we do a lot of assessing at our grade levels. And so we're trying to figure out how to triangulate the data so that we can make sure that no one is falling through. And it's interesting sometimes when we sit down and look at our data because we have students that might do really well on a MAP test, but then they're not performing in the classroom. So then it's, what do we do as educators to try to strategically plan for those students? The one thing that Jennifer talked a lot about is that family involvement piece. Todd it's an interesting neighborhood, and we have a pretty strong family involvement piece. Every time we have a family night, we average about 200 people that come through. And we have one family night of the month. It's usually the 3rd, and we consistently do it the 4th Thursday of the month, except like this week. So that parents can put it on their calendar and they just know to come. And so we did a PBIS night the first Thursday and that we have family night in September because we want to get parents engaged in that whole PBIS and use a universal language with them as well. So they came in. We did a family night for math. We also did trunk or treat. And this month we're going caroling on so anyone that lives in the Todd Neighborhood Business Center, someone will be coming to your house, caroling. But one of our biggest events, and we just started that last year, is Grandparents' Day. We did that the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. We counted, we had 312 grandparents come through our building that day.
Wow.
And so it's really amazing to see. I mean, so we had people, the parking's not that great there. So we had people coming in walkers, we had people coming in wheelchairs, and it was like, we just sat back and kind of watched how many people came through the door and how excited they were to just come spend an hour or so with their, grandchild. So that's a fun intergenerational thing to do. So another big thing we did at Todd this year was we added the DLI program, which that has been an adventure. We added it in kindergarten and first grade. That program filled up immediately. We probably could have had more students involved in that program. We're in the process right now of trying to refine the program and, determine how to move forward with, the literacy piece, the math piece, with materials. So that's an ongoing project too. But we have 34 kindergartners enrolled in the DLI program. We have 35 first graders. And it's pretty amazing. I've been going and watching how fast they're picking, especially English-speaking students picking up the Spanish language. Because I don't speak any Spanish and I'm learning some words. So it's really, it is really amazing when you see little children and how fast they can acquire a language. And our Spanish-speaking students, they are really picking up the English language much more quickly. Now, the interesting thing is because our first grade students didn't have kindergarten experience last year, so we're having to try to evolve that program to, they need to get the literacy skills for English in first grade, but they're also having to go back and learn the basic Spanish. They're still learning letters and sounds, so that's sort of been an interesting mix. And until Monday morning, those two teachers, the English-speaking teacher and the Spanish-speaking teacher, were in the classroom together. Now they're in their own rooms, so it's looking a little different this week. So we had many classrooms that had almost 36 students in them for 3.5 months. And our teachers are really troopers with that. So with that new program going in, that was a interesting process. So we also did, as you well know, we have one-to-one, and I forgot to put that in the slides, and I said, I forgot to put a picture in there. We have one-to-one iPad already in second grade, and anyone that's come through the building and watch some of the things the students are doing with their iPads, again, it's pretty amazing. I was in a second grade room today. You know, they're doing research. They're you know, they were tying it into their writing, because we're also doing Lucy Calkins at the primary level as well. They're using the strategies they're teaching them in the Lucy Calkins Writers Workshop, and then they're taking it to their iPads, and they're doing some of their first drafts on their iPads. You know, I'm old. I didn't grow up with all the technology, and I go look for young technology friends to help me. These second graders could teach me lots of things about the iPad. So, so that's been pretty amazing to see how well they have adapted to the whole. We're phasing in. Our PTO last year worked to get, we already had about 50 iPads in our building, and so we have those in other classrooms. You know, they can check them out. But then we'll keep rolling them into the classroom. The second grade teachers have been so excited to really work with them and see what they can do with them. So, and I should have put a picture in there of them. So I have some pictures in here of some of the different activities. The other thing that we talked about as a leadership team is at the young age, we feel like they need to be involved in something in school. And so we really looked at that extracurricular piece. And it's hard when they're that young because, you know, there's not a lot of sports and things. But we do have student council, and we have Just Say No, and we have some sports at their level that we do after school. And then we obviously have the Excel after school program, and we were lucky to receive that grant. We're in the 12th year of that cycle. And then we have a strong partnership with Beloit College because we're so close. Kids can walk to Todd. We have probably 20 to 30 students every semester that come over that are part of the Duffy intern program that do a reading program with our students. They come 2 times a week. We also have students that come that are doing a critical art, visual art program right now that's working with students. We have several student teachers or interns that come in and out. So it's just nice because we have that fluid partnership going with them. And it's funny because a lot of our students that come over, they might come over and work with the Duffy intern program, and then they'll come back later. They just come back by to see the students because, again, they're really close and they can walk over. So, but we focus, our Excel program is definitely focused on kids that are struggling in reading and math. It's a really academic focus. So we target those students and we encourage parents to get them. We do not provide transportation at this point because when you're in your 12th year, you don't get as much grant money, and I don't want to pay the transportation, but we'll take them home if we have to. We have some that just live close enough and we'll walk them home if they can't get home. So that doesn't seem to have been a deterrent at this point. So it was a concern because that used to be part of the whole grant. So I put some pictures, and as you know, the biggest thing has been the construction. It's gorgeous. If you haven't been over there, you need to come over. I was just walking down the hallway. It's just nice because it's like we've been sitting on top of each other, literally. 36 students in a classroom built for about 20. 2 teachers, materials, boxes everywhere, and now everyone's spread out and it's quiet, and we get to eat in the lunchroom now because we ate in the hallways. We ate in the hallways for 3 months. We were eating in the hallways. So it's just the whole atmosphere. Of course, I think people are tired this week, but it's just been so calm. It's just walk through, and so come by and see the building. I think our grand opening ribbon cutting is going to be the, what did you say, the 29th? I think we were going to do the 23rd, but it's a conflict with somebody at the hospital, so we have to rearrange. So we're going to do our grand opening in conjunction with the family night, and we're going to do the whole cultural night piece, so we're hoping that can bring a lot of people in. So that's our construction picture, and that was Mary Ellen's humor. She put good night construction site, so because that's kind of where we are. So any questions about Todd School?
Jen Aiken, please.
Yeah, Melody, everything over at Todd is going great. That's all I can say. But I was interested in the data updates. Okay, is that a program that's unique to Todd that you guys kind of put together, or is that something everybody's doing, or?
The reading specialists are working through this and looking at their data, so I think that we just started playing around with it and put it in a graphic just because we want to sort of look at it. And if you can see that the students that are highlighted in red are the ones that we're most concerned about. And then we looked at all the students that were below 5%, all the students that were below 20%, and then we tried to group them out. So, no, we're not the only one doing it. We just probably called and yelled the first time and said, we need help. Help me figure out the data. So, but the reading specialists are working through this as a team. So
this is strictly a reading measure then?
We do it in math too, but this is reading that I showed you.
Okay.
And we don't have as many interventions and things that we do with math, so you really have to work on the universal instruction. And we're doing some guided math, but it's a little different. I mean, reading is a process, and there's so many things in math that's more skill-based, so you have to try to figure out how to work those together. So
and the purpose of this isn't so much to track grades as it is to track kind of where the kids are in terms of whether they're at level or above or below
and what
level.
we need to do to move them forward.
Right. Okay. Good.
That's really the whole purpose. So.
Okay.
And we always have district PLCs on Friday, so then we have building PLCs the Monday after and reflect on what we learned, and then we look at our data then. And then our teachers meet twice a week, 30 to 45 minutes and we try to keep their focus on the data, because if you're going to coach a teacher, if you're going to work with students, it has to be based on something that's evidence-based. And I mean, we can talk all the time about, this kid's not making it, but what are we going to do to change that? So.
And the evidence is not only grades and classroom performance, but actually data from maps and things of that nature as well. In fact, that's a key part of it as I'm seeing it. Okay, great.
In my opinion, it is.
Well, I don't disagree. I agree with you completely.
Excellent. I just want to say thank you for sharing with us tonight. And I think that when we look at the big picture, the data, the PBIS, the Excel, the parental involvement, the community involvement, the building construction, I don't know how you fit it in a day. I don't know how the educators, your staff, the students can multitask as well as they are, but you're doing it, and you're doing it with obviously great strides and great pride. And I love that slide right there as a construction person. I think I'm going to have to capture it myself without plagiarizing. I'll have to ask for permissions.
This was on Mandy Kitschy's door for a while. It was a construction site, and then when we moved, she made good night. So.
It's beautiful. But I think overall, the whole picture of how you're integrating everything, it's outstanding, and it's seamless. And especially with some of our youngest kids, obviously, to do that and to make change and transition without creating that uproar is truly an art. And to do it as effectively as you are, I want to say thank you to you, your staff, and the school, because without committed staff, we certainly couldn't be as successful as we are.
We kept the calm pretty well.
Yes, definitely.
We planned a lot for it this summer, so because we knew we had anxious parents and we had people that were concerned, and so we did pretty well. We had moments that people kind of had some meltdowns. We had a lot of snacks in the lounge. And I just have to say, you haven't experienced life until you come over and have lunch with 65 4-year-olds and 75 5-year-olds. So come over one day.
What time is lunch for you?
11:45.
11:45.
So it's quite an experience, and now we have to punch in our code. So you have to get a 4-year-old to punch in a 4-digit code to get their lunch. So that's really an interesting experience. So come over any day you'd like. So
excellent. We shall. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Melissa, please. As Melissa's coming up, Melody, I want to say in the Army, we have to punch in our last 4 of our social security numbers to eat, and we have 20, 30, 40-year-olds that can't do it. So if you can get 4-year-olds to do it, you are way far and beyond outstanding. Thank you.
Okay, I am here because we're giving a marketing update on some of our behind-the-scenes work with our social media and our news blog. Resonate Web Marketing was selected in late spring of 2013 to begin work on managing our online reputation, including integrating social media. Since then, a news blog was created, which is beloitschools.org. Bookmark that site for those of you who are out there. Again, that's beloitschools.org. With content being provided by both district staff and the firm, including video, pictures, stories, and testimonials. While there's definitely plenty of anecdotal evidence that people are looking at the blog and positive talk of Beloit schools is increasing, Rick McGrath and Anna Kelly will show statistical data on who is viewing the online content, where, and how often.
Experiencing some technical difficulties here. There we go. All right. Thank you for letting us do this. Yes.
Say the best for last.
Thank you for letting us. Thank you. We're done. No, Anna and Rick, and it's been said that success has many fathers.
Rick, yep, I was going to ask, there you go.
Rick McGrath and my wife, my lovely wife, Anna Kelly. And it's been said that success has many fathers, failure is an orphan. There's so much good stuff going on in the school district that it's nice just to be kind of part of it a little bit. So I need to be able to reach that, though. This might be the only time we get to do that. Wow. Can I do this again? So.
It's called trust.
All right. No. Just the right button. Right. Okay. So, we are Resonate Web Marketing, and I didn't anticipate not being able to see the screen as I'm speaking. All right. So next. All right. So, website development. Next. There we go. That's nice. All right. So we built the website. We needed to tell the story. That story needs to live someplace. So we needed a piece of internet real estate to place all these stories. And so it's at beloitschools.org. And the site that we built, that should be a moving video. Okay. All right. Imagine in your mind's eye a video. So, a man walks into a bar with a parrot on his shoulder. So we built the site to be responsive. What that means is that with the proliferation of smartphones and pads, this website automatically scales to whatever size screen you are working with. And so that slide just illustrated that. It was a little video that showed a screen that gets smaller. We can advance to the next one. So the site is mobile optimized. It's a full CMS platform. I'm looking at myself up here, so it incorporates social sharing, and it incorporates the social sharing so that people can share with their own communities, as well as accessing the school district social media. Next. Just right advance. Okay. The school district Beloit, 51% of your traffic is mobile, is online, is smartphones or tablets. That's amazing. I've not seen that before. I'm sure a lot of that is the function of the iPads and the teachers net, but I haven't seen anybody else that has most of their traffic is mobile. So, but that's a good thing. We are prepared for that because the site is mobile optimized. Next. So, content. I was not prepared for this. So, but the question was, help us with our social media. It's not, the social media is the vehicle. It's not about how we get there. It's about the adventure. It's about your vacation and what you're doing and where you're going. It's not about how you get there. So the social media is the lesser part of the equation. It's mostly about content. If you don't have content, this is the sort of thing that you end up with. What matters most in life is not how much money you have. It's about quotes and stuff that tell you what life is really all about. And here's a picture of a cat. You need valuable content or else you get dribble. Next. So there's two pieces of content. There's the content that you all have that we simply optimize and we make it consumable for the consumer, for the reader. And then there's the content that we provide. And that typically breaks down into copy and videos, copy, pictures, and videos and that sort of thing. So the content developed by School District Beloit, next, is content from the school district offices, what Melissa creates as well as other staff, and content from the school district teachers, from the school district meetings, just like this. We take that video, we can parse it out, and content from the students themselves. So we have some content from the Crescent, from the high school. Would love to do more of that, to the extent that some subset of that content would have an interest by parents. So, next. And so, of course, the first question about Beloit School District generated content is, tell me about the lip dub. How'd that do? So, you can see here, we took a look at all the different school districts in Wisconsin, as well as Ononega. After 1 month, 10,000 views plus some. Let's see, where do we get to 10,000 again? We don't get to 10,000 until we get to Lakeside Lutheran. It's been up for a year. Watertown, did I miss one? Watertown, okay. Watertown's been up for 8 months. Sun Prairie, 93. We're never going to get there, but this is incredible. This shows me, from the outside looking in, there is a lot of ownership. There is a lot of enthusiasm from the community about what's going on here. This is exceptional. All these other schools, well, with the exception of like 3, they don't have that level of community enthusiasm. Next. But what about the site traffic? So that's from the YouTube channel, but it's also on the website. Please stand by. We'll get to that. Next. So the content developed by Resonate. And so it's mostly events, videos with a story, bios or introductions to the schools with a little video. It is student recognition, which is the milk and the eggs at the back of the store. We want the stories to be as compelling as we can make them. At the end of the day, how many people are going to click through to read about the AP program? Hopefully as many as possible. But we know that what gets shared, what people click through for, it's the stories about the students. While they're there reading the stories about the students, they will also see the other stories that we hope that they will see. So it has multiple benefits for us. And then just simple photos and galleries. They don't need much more story other than captions of the stories. So next would be social media. So the website at the top, it links to the school district social media channels, but on each one of the stories, it also it encourages folks to share with their own communities. Facebook, we're doing very well with Facebook. 10,085 likes at this point. User reviews, we're at 4.5 of 5, which is very good. Not everybody is there. Next. So you can see where we've done. So this is September 16th when we launched. This is the natatorium. It just so happened that the natatorium grand opening was the day before the lip dub. So we got kind of a double boost here. and this is the making of the lip dub video. So it's going in the right direction. Next. All right, I think we missed something, but we'll keep moving. That's fine. Now I'm lost. Go back. We're still. All right. So in Facebook, we can see who's following us on Facebook. I'm sure a lot of these are employees and staff, but they're not commuting from Minneapolis and Chicago. So I'm sure a lot of these are alumni. Maybe there are people checking it out. Next. And next. And so YouTube, 109 videos. It's just left and right. Okay, I'm lost. Go back. We're not done with YouTube. Back. Okay, all right. So 138 subscribers, which is very healthy, and then 17,000 views. Okay, next. Okay, Twitter, 359 tweets. We've got 12 people following. This is relatively new, as we can't do everything first, so we're expanding into Twitter, expanding into other channels. So that's still relatively new. We have 4 hashtags. If you're familiar with hashtags, that's, well, if you're not, people who do use Twitter, they'll know what to do with it. Next. Google Plus, this is uncharted territory. Not a lot of school districts are doing that. Those that are, most of them aren't doing it well, but there are some good models out there to follow, and we are with the best of them. But it's still new. Pinterest, same thing. Not a lot of people are doing it. We'll be there if the market catches up with the marketplace. It doesn't really take any extra time, so there's no real, it doesn't really take away from other things. Next. Let's see, that's fine. So we've got, if you're familiar with Pinterest, we've got 5 boards. Beloit Proud, Technology and Education, because it's a hot topic in this world of Pinterest. Parent resources, student resources, and teacher resources. Next. And finally, the end game is connecting with people. So, because the prevailing internet concept is around e-commerce, most people have that mindset when they're thinking about online things. This is different for a school district. It's different for lots of associations. It's about collaboration. It's about an ecosystem. It's not, there's no Lone Ranger in this thing. So we link to a lot of folks. It's all about sharing the love. So there's lots of folks there that we link to. Next. There's a fewer number of folks that link back to us. These are some sites that we have direct access to and can contribute to and get those links back to us, including Wikipedia. So to some extent, is our love returned? Maybe not yet, but we have to prime the pump. So there are some important people there that we don't quite see yet. Hopefully in time, they'll love us back. Next. And it's about sharing. We hope to do more sharing of other involved parents' content. And we can see through our Google Analytics on the website that every place that is blue is where there's traffic. The more blue or the more purple, it represents a higher volume of traffic. We can see where they're coming in from. Next. I don't know what the deal is with Vermont, but I never liked Vermont anyways. So, next. We can see the distribution in Illinois. They know about us in Chicago. I don't know if that's people interested in what we're doing out here, or if those are alumni or what, but Chicago knows about Beloit. Next. We see the distribution in Wisconsin. I don't know, it's self-explanatory. Next. So we can see what pages people like, where the traffic is going to. And we will see that a lot of these are stories about students. In fact, well, here's LipDub. There's more traffic going to the LipDub than even to our home page. Next. I tell you what, can you go back? So now this is just from day 1 to date. What is interesting, Beloit Memorial Honors Veterans, that's only been up for like a week. And it has surpassed most everything else. And it's because we've tapped into a broader audience.
Matt Flynn. That's only been up for a week. That has captured a lot of attention. And Jesse. What can you say? All right, so we can see, we have that level of detail on what are people gravitating to. And so just lastly, stuff that we've been involved in. Now go on. So Anna and I, just the stuff that we've been attending where we can try to capture some of these stories. And next. And stuff that we have been active volunteers. The VOTEC Trade Fair was huge fun. Really glad to be part of that. I don't know, just stuff. And go on. And so that's the dog and the pony. Thank you very much. Glad that we get to do this. And any questions?
No questions, but
All right.
a big thank you. And I think really seeing the numbers and seeing how many people are interested in Beloit echoes the Beloit proud that we're all echoing. So I want to say thank you for promoting Beloit, for promoting the Beloit School District, and being there to share with us in our accolades and to helping us share our story, because there's definitely a lot to share, as if you just so eloquently showed us.
There's so many more stories. And, just being here today.
Exactly.
It's like, how can we get these up?
So thank you guys, and I can't wait to see where we go from here. Speaking of number 4, we're going to move to our number 1 report to the board, which is our student board member report with Mr. Porter, please.
This is a busy week at the high school with everybody trying to get everything in before Christmas break comes around. Everybody's looking forward to that, but it's still a busy week. A couple exciting things going on at the high school. I'm happy to report that our basketball team is off to a promising 5-2 start. If you haven't been to a game, I'd really like to invite you to come out and see us play. The musical has been casted, so that's coming up. Rebecca will know more about that than I will, but that's coming up, and it's pretty exciting. Some things that I think are really important that's going on at the high school right now, especially in the holiday season. There's a lot of service projects working right now. I know personally the National Honor Society has been ringing bells these last couple weeks for the Salvation Army. So it's been nice and cold, but it's for a good cause. And the kids are actually having a lot of fun doing it. And also, the Student Senate, I believe, is running a clothing drive for Caritas this week. And the winning class gets donuts. And so it's just like, it's kind of fun, but everybody knows that there's a serious part to it. And kids are having fun with it, but they know that what they're doing is going to a good cause. And so there's a lot of service going on with the holiday spirit.
Question for you on, you mentioned National Honor Society. Is there currently a raffle of some sorts as well?
Yes, there is. We're doing a fundraiser right now. We're raffling off some jackets out of the school store, the really nice athletic jackets, the pullovers. We gave tickets to all the kids. We're encouraging them all to sell as many as they can. Every kid got 10 tickets, and they're just $1 a piece. We're encouraging them to sell as many as possible. If we sell a good amount of those tickets, we'll raffle off more than one jacket. So we're hoping we're getting all of that back this week. So we're hoping we'll look at that this week, and we'll see.
Excellent. Any questions for our student board rep? Missy?
This isn't really a question, but years ago, the people on the board used to get an increscent, and I noticed that Resonant was going to try and put some of the increscent maybe on the blog, which would be nice, and then we could see it. But I hear so many things about what's written in the increscent, and unless I have no idea, is it possible you could just bring us some every once in a while? How often does it come out?
The Increscent comes out once a month, I believe.
Well, there we go.
So, I mean, yeah, I could, and I think Rebecca's part of the Increscent. Yeah. And so I think it'd be very possible for us to be able to bring plenty of copies.
Great. I know, just thank you.
See no further questions. I just want to say thank you for sharing with us this evening, and let's move forward to committee reports. First up, we have Finance, Transportation, and Property Committee with John Winkelman, please.
Thank you, Shannon. We met in
had a fairly short agenda. We met on the 10th, and we started with some conversation about other post-employment benefits, and we looked at what's called an actuarial valuation results and impact. And if Jennifer was here, she could explain it. But basically, it was a conversation about what we've been doing lately to make these other post-employment benefits more affordable for the district. So there's been some changes. Staff have helped with those changes to make them realistic, and it has affected our budget and affected our budget in positive ways so that we can better afford to fund this other post-employment benefit, which is basically benefits that happen after people retire. And they are in process for certain groups of faculty and staff, and they will be different for newer faculty and staff as per agreements with all of those groups. And thanks to Todd and Steve and Jennifer for all of those good works to be able to do that. We followed that up with another fabulous report called Other Post-Employment Benefits Annual Investment Performance Review. So we put money away into a trust to pay for these benefits, and so part of our responsibilities as a board and for a school district is to be able to step back and say, how is it doing? How is this trust doing? Is it invested properly? Are they following the guidelines that the board has set for the investments in terms of what should be happening? And so some good news, our investment return is very good, and we are following our guidelines, and Janelle was very excited about what was happening with the investments, and I feel good about that because that's what helps fund the OPEB for all of our retirees. We spent some time talking about grant funding, and I think there's going to be more conversation about how we approach grants and how we look at grant funding. Grant funding is pretty difficult these days, and so we're kind of trying to rethink what we might do as we figure out new ways to approach grants within the district. We did spend some time talking about changes by credit rating agencies. So for those of you that remember, we had lots of conversation as we moved into the bond issues, and that's critical for our school districts in general to have a good credit rating. It gets us a very positive interest rate, which, as you remember, ours was an awesome interest rate, saving the community lots of money. And so the credit rating industry is changing a little bit of performance, seeing what they do. So a couple of the items that they're going to look at is kind of reducing some of the impact of the local economic climate, but then also pushing out a little more impact onto the debt load and where that falls. So we learned about that. And then we talked some more about vouchers and charters and how that impacts our state aid. If you look at our budget when it's published and when it's online, you'll see a line in there that says our contribution to the Milwaukee charter system. This year it was in the $900,000 range. So if you want to feel good about us spreading our wealth around the state, we are helping Milwaukee to that tune. And so it's how it works right now, and we need to know that and plan for that. But it's also something we need to pay attention to because as that grows and expands, and it has, all districts in the state have to contribute to that, and it affects us, and it changes how we do business. And so lots of conversation about that, and I think that's a conversation I know I want to have with some of our state legislators as we talk about what we do with that, and are there any controls that sit on that so that we don't just foot the bill for whatever is decided. And I think that was our meeting.
Thank you, John. Are there any questions for John? As I turn it over to John Acom, I just had an update in boys. Beloit wrestling team is now undefeated in conference and just triumphed over Parker with a 52-30 win. No updates on the hockey team as of yet. So with that, John Acom with curriculum and instruction, please.
It's kind of fun that we've heard good news about the wrestling team, good news about the basketball team tonight. It's going to be a good winter season, I think. The curriculum committee met on December the 10th, and we first of all heard about new funding opportunities, including expanding and enhancing tech ed. Another opportunity to finance sidewalk improvements and perhaps bike path improvements as well, or bike path building on a Safe Routes to School grant, and also a school-specific grant. All these grants will come before the board for consideration this evening, and a board vote, affirmative board vote, will allow us then to apply for these grants and go after the money, which we continue to consider to be a very high priority. We also had a number of high school course changes come before us. One course name change, several new courses, including 2 additional AP courses, and these also will appear for adoption on the agenda later. Some of the things included in this package are a new course in biology, which is designed to prepare students for medical careers, including things like medical technician, nurse, lab assistant, researcher, doctor. This course will be articulated with Black Hawk Tech, which means that students going to Black Hawk Tech can receive, going on to Black Hawk Tech can receive college level credit for it. Other new offerings include AP Art History and AP Computer Programming. The latter of these 2 is a portal to some of the highest demand jobs in the United States. A couple of new courses that I'm predicting are going to be extremely popular. One is Digital Art 2 from the Art Department, Digital Art 2, and the other is Game Design from the Computer Sciences Department. I just think those are going to be very popular. That too is appearing later on tonight's agenda as we continue to keep our course offerings at the high school exciting, relevant, and very, 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 very and we recognize the abilities of our students and the fact that our students can and do perform very well, and that's why we're successfully offering all these AP courses and getting kids who've never before thought they could do AP into AP and doing well with it. It's great to see all of our kids succeeding. That's my report, unless there's any questions.
Any questions or comments for John Acom? Seeing none, Nora, please with policy and instruction. Or policy and personnel, sorry.
The Policy and Personnel Committee met on November 26th to basically approve personnel recommendations and have a little bit of a discussion on Policy 377 Rule 2, which is our Athletics and Activities Code. Again, on December 10th, we met and we had an in-depth conversation with lots of contributors to discuss the Athletic and Activities Code, again, Policy 377, Rule 2, but we really were focusing on the eligibility rules and the eligibility requirements. After a lot of discussion and presentations, what we ended up changing in that policy was we are not going to have the weekly monitoring with purple cards for students. That was cumbersome and it was not working. I think everybody agrees that the code that we initiated was not working, so these changes that we made are to help not only the coaches and administrators, but the students to understand what we expect of them. And one of the things that we are expecting, that all students make progress to a GPA of 2.0 and graduation. We are going to try this updated policy for a year, and we're going to look at data to support any other tweaks as we go along. So that was the big, big discussion, but we have other policies coming forward tonight that we also discussed, and they are second readings of a variety of policies that have been updated or revised. Some have to do with now that we have a employee handbook, we have to change some of those policies to remove some old language. Let's see, we also had the personnel recommendations again. And then we had a update by Mr. Kabelka that he stated that there's a recertification of 2 local unions that are underway in Wisconsin. He did state that this will not affect our district because we work well with our employees, and I think that just about does it. For upcoming discussions, we are looking at just updating a number of other policies that are outdated. So, are there any questions?
Questions or comments for Nora? Seeing none, thank you, Nora.
Thank you.
Ready to move forward with the consent list at this point.
So move.
Discussion, John Acom.
Yeah, just one small correction on the consent list. On page 40, the meetings for the minutes for the special meeting of the Board of Education. In the second paragraph up from the bottom, final sentence, the motion for girls hockey carried unanimously. It was actually girls golf. And so if we could make that change, then I will indeed happily vote in favor of the consent list.
Thank you, John. So is the maker of the motion amenable to the
Yes.
changes presented and the seconder? The friendly amendment has been approved. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor to the consent list?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. We are now at the business action item B, donation from ExxonMobil.
Move approval with thanks.
With thanks, that's the second. Mr. Rand? Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Thank you, motion carries. C, other post-employment benefits, OPEB, annual investment performance review.
Move approval. And our motion is to approve the update of the actuarial discount to 4% as recommended by our trust holders.
Thank you for the clarification. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. New fund development report? Moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. High school course proposals.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? I just want to say outstanding changes in, we were already the #1 school district with AP course offerings, and this further enhances the course offerings we have to our students. So thank you to our staff for dreaming what we thought once was impossible and for making it happen, and for our students who are rising to the occasion. With that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Policy 377, Rule 2, Secondary Schools Athletics and Activities Code, grades 9 through 12 for second reading.
Move approval. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, John Acom?
Yeah, I've just got a couple of things that, perhaps will add clarity, which I believe to be important. For example, if you'll look at it at the top under number 4, it says directed by the coach and/or assistant principal for athletics and activities, and the assistant principal for athletics and activities. We got that. We got the assistant principal for athletics and activities double-barreled there, which is not necessary. So first of all, we can perhaps, as part of my friendly amendment, remove that redundancy there.
Can I offer a suggestion, John?
Yes.
I believe it's not an and, it should be a period instead of the and. It's a sentence that stops. Tutoring sessions are available for all students as directed by the coach and/or the assistant principal of athletics and activities, period. The assistant principal of activities will support coaches and students by tracking those students with Fs. 2 sentences, not 1.
Okay, that makes sense
Work
also.
for you?
Yeah, as long as it makes sense, it certainly works for me, so I'm fine with that.
So just, if we can stop there, John, are you asking for a friendly amendment then, as John Winkleman has just read that, to a period after activities, striking the word and, capitalizing the word the, and continuing on?
Sure.
And the maker of the motion and the seconder, are you amenable to the changes as presented?
Yes.
Outstanding. All right, continue
All
on,
right.
John.
Okay, but wait, there's more. I guess before I go any further, I do have other suggestions, but let me start with a question. The district will use a data method to follow progress, and we heard a little bit from Melody tonight about a data process that they are still inventing at Todd's school. I'm not quite sure, quite honestly, what a data method to follow progress is and whether or not such a method is in place at the high school at this time. Somebody could help me with that, I'd appreciate it.
Steve, please.
John Winkleman presented a rubric that would be kind of a template that we could use. It's a good word.
Rarely would I use that word, but it's good.
Thank you. That we could use to kind of track all of our athletics, and we could go in the many different categories. So I think that was a good start, if you would.
all of us have seen that.
Okay, I mean, as long as it works, I'm fine with that. I want to make sure that we aren't losing where our students are academically by getting, too deep into the weeds and becoming overly concerned with WKCE and MAP scores as opposed to actual grades.
It's how the program is going, not how each individual student. We're checking on to see how this code is going to be successful or not. Is that correct? And we're going to do it with data from how many kids are doing well on each team compared to last year or something.
That's exactly right. And I think what the advantage of the new stipulations, if you would, is that you're going to have cleaner data. So we can look at a percentage of kids that are, the number of kids involved, the percentage of kids that are receiving certain grade point averages above whatever mark you choose. We can look at growth in grade point from one year to the next. So you don't really focus so much on the individual kid as you do at a cumulative team effort.
Okay, so the data method to follow progress is essentially to follow the progress made by each team and, understanding whether they're getting better or staying the same or not, whatever. Always, of course, we recognize the fact that there may be some differences in some teams, as we've discussed before.
Sure.
But that's what this is? This is a team tracking thing?
It is.
Okay, great. Okay, that's fine. And that's I have no problem with it as a team tracking theme. Then let me get back to proposing a second attempt at a different friendly amendment, which is the part about the individual students. Because actually, individual kids are the most important thing always. And so what I was thinking here, again, still looking at number 4, tutoring sessions are available for all students, followed by a period, and then a new sentence that begins there. They are required for all students with failing grades, as well as those not making progress toward the target GPA of 2.0, as directed by the coach and/or assistant principal for athletics, followed by, as we've decided earlier, a period. And so that's my amendment. And the reason for that is simply this. I don't want us to, in putting this together, lose sight of the individual kids and the progress that they're making. I don't want opportunities for kids to fall off the planet because nobody's following up with them and nobody's keeping up with them. And I get the idea that that's primarily the coach's job. The assistant principal for athletics and activities can't be tracking every single kid. That's well beyond the scope of any one individual, however competent. But I do believe that we need to keep track of our kids, and we need to have somebody saying, hey, you've got to do it. Be that coach, that mentor, that encourager, the one who prods the kids to do better. The one that the wrestling coach that Lene described in one of our earlier meetings. I think we need to put that in here, and it ought to be clear in any policy, not only what you're going to do with the policy, but who's going to be responsible for doing it. And so that's why I wrote it the way I did in terms of helping to understand that it was primarily the coach. And while I appreciate the fact that the assistant principal for athletics and activities is going to be tracking those students with Fs, and that's nice. I think that still the one closest to that student is going to be the coach, and the coaches need to have that built into their responsibility. So that's my second friendly amendment.
So it's been presented as a friendly amendment. Would the maker of the motion and the seconder be amenable to the friendly amendment as presented?
I think we need to vote on that one.
Okay. So what I'm hearing, John, is that it is not accepted as a friendly amendment. Would you like to make that as a are you making a motion for a non-friendly amendment?
Not an unfriendly one, however.
But a recommend.
It is, in fact, yes, I'd like to make that as a motion. Thank you, Madam President.
Is there a second to the motion as presented by John Aikman? Could you clarify what your motion
You want me to read it again?
Just what you're requesting for the amendment to be.
Okay. The amended part only, without putting it in context, is that is put in the sentence. They are required that they be referring to the tutoring sessions beforehand. With your permission, I'll read it in context because it'll make more sense.
Yes.
Tutoring sessions are available for all students, period. They are required for all students. And again, the difference between required and available. And a tutoring session, by the way, isn't defined in here, nor should it be. It can be a session with the individual teacher, or it can be a study table. It can be whatever. A tutoring session, whatever works best for that kid and whatever fits best with the needs of that kid. But anyway, tutoring sessions are available for all students. They are required for all students with failing grades, as well as those who are not making progress toward the target GPA of 2.0. And again, please understand that we're talking about a target of 2.0, not a requirement. A target is a goal. A target is a vision. A target is something to aspire to. It is not a requirement. We are no longer incorporating in this policy a 2.0 requirement to participate. So I want to be real clear on that.
Is there a seconder to the motion? Is there a seconder to the motion as presented by John Acom?
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. We are now at discussion on the amendment as presented. I have Steve and then Mark Rand.
I appreciate what you're saying, John. I understand where your heart's at on it. Certainly is not my intention to do anything, obviously, that would, lower our academic standards or expectations. But I did ask going into this because one of the biggest issues that we have is the logistical nightmare we have in trying to manage a very arbitrary code, that we got rid of those kind of things and that we put the onus back onto the coaches and to the advisors to, in their own way, make sure that their kids would be eligible. I don't want this becomes a management nightmare again, and it becomes one of the things that we, from the beginning, have said when kids don't, with integrity, want to go to study table, they don't use the time wisely. So I do agree with the idea that we keep them. That came pretty apparent that was a good idea, but to mandate that we use study tables or that they go to a certain teacher, I would appreciate if we did not do that, and we tried it as I proposed it for the first year.
Mark Rand, please.
That's kind of the way that I was thinking, and I guess what's frustrating to me is we've already had this discussion, and the wording that's in number 4 is the wording that we agreed on a week ago, and it got moved forward earlier tonight without discussion, and now we're going back to requiring when we have the data that shows if we require them to go to study table rather than making it available and suggest that they use the study table, that it hasn't worked. So, and we've discussed it. I don't understand what's changed in the last 2 hours, I guess. And I won't vote to change the way that it is right now.
I have Nora, then John Acom.
Last week when we had our in-depth discussion, there were 4 amendments on this, and I think there was a little bit of maybe confusion on this one point, because we did discuss how we would hold coaches accountable. I personally like it. I think it is a safety net. It doesn't say they have to turn in purple cards. It doesn't say it's up to the coaches how they want to proceed with assisting the students in finding that tutoring. And secondly, this was on the agenda for our special meeting where we were going to have a more in-depth conversation on those 4 amendments from the week before. However, we haven't had this discussion. We were not able to have that discussion in the special meeting, and it was moved forward in the Policy and Personnel Committee meeting earlier tonight with the intention that it would be discussed in the special meeting.
John Acom, then John Winkleman.
Yeah, in the Policy Personnel meeting tonight, I offered to bring forth these amendments at this time. And it was felt by the committee that this was a discussion for the full board. and that this was a discussion that should best be taking place here, and that's fine. I'm not a member of that committee, and I was certainly willing to accede to their wishes, so it was not a problem. The previous policy, I mean, let's make it really clear. The previous policy is going away for good reason. The previous policy was a bad policy, mostly because of the weekly thing, the purple card thing, that whole thing. That system wasn't working. The difficulties were compounded by the fact that teachers weren't entering grades weekly and skyward, so that there were incomplete showing, which WIAA treats as the same as Fs, when in fact a student had a legitimate reason for not turning in assignments. Also, there was problem with the earlier, with the code that we're replacing, in the fact that it was not understood, and it was not understood, and therefore it was not implemented properly. And it wasn't understood by a lot of other people either. I mean, I've heard comments within this board about whether or not we're replacing the 2.0 requirement. We're not doing anything about the 2.0 requirement. It wasn't there before, and it isn't there now. The public is confused. The media was confused. So a policy which is confusing is in fact bad policy. And so there's no doubt about that. Now, what I'm trying to do with the special, with the friendly amendment, which I guess it's no longer a friendly amendment, with the proposed amendment, is to put clarity in and to assign responsibilities. And I feel that without that, it gets, again, way too fuzzy around the edges, and that's where you get problems. So that's my thought on that.
Before I go to you, John Winkleman, I would request a motion to extend.
Right, going to do that? Can we extend the meeting till we finish expediently?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. John Winkleman, please.
Yep, sure. So, well, John, I appreciate what you're doing. I guess I feel like we're kind of presupposing that something isn't going to happen. So I guess I'm taking a leap of faith that says we're trying something new. So let's try something new. And I'm going to put some trust in the coaching staff and into the athletic department leaders that says we're going to make this happen. But we have some data that's going to tell us that. And it's going to tell us that within a year. We're going to review it. And if it's not going in the direction we're going, then it would make some sense to put something in that says, okay, we're going to add some more, I don't know if I want to call it micromanagement yet, but that's kind of what it feels like. We're going to add some more structure to it down the road. And so I feel like we need to give it a shot to work as proposed. And if it doesn't, then awesome. We have reason to do that, as opposed to kind of presupposing something isn't going to happen. And so I'd rather start clean and go with what we have and see where it goes, as opposed to kind of forcing that into the mix, because it may happen without us having to force it.
Hearing everything that's been said tonight, I want to go where you just went, John Winkleman, and I appreciate the fact that we added the data in, but one of the amendments that I had requested for last year was a one-year trial period, and the one-year trial period was negated for the data portion. So half of it made it through and not the other half. With that being said, there is a lot of leap of faith from where we are today and what we've been doing since 1980 some to where we're projected to go in 2013 or 2014, 2015. And I want to be all in, but I don't want to be incorrect in an assumption that I'm making this evening. And I feel if we do it not as a one-year trial, that we very well could be there. So I am in favor of the language as presented this evening by Mr. Acom if this is not a trial of the proposed policy. If it is a trial of the proposed policy, I would be okay with the language as written. But given the fact that it is not a trial, I do feel much more comfortable with the responsibility and the accountability is built into the number 4 as presented by Mr. Acom. Steve, please.
I want you to hear very strongly I'm against that language. And I want you to hear that I'm against that language because it's the exact thing we were trying to get away from. And I don't appreciate the idea that it does feel a little bit like it shows lack of faith and trust in your administrative team, in your coaches, in your folks to do their jobs, and it just doesn't feel very good. These are students that are not eligible because our code is greater than that of the requirements of the WIAA already. So our students are not eligible with any Fs. So we're talking about coaches spending daily work, daily, every single day, not weekly, daily, to track kids that are going to be either into a study table or into tutoring at a teacher level. Every single day, they have to monitor that under this proposal. Absolutely. And a week ago, number 4 was stated exactly the way we rolled it out to the board tonight. And if I would have known or thought there was different feelings at that time, I would have liked to have that conversation and not got to the board in front of TV and God in the world and talked about it here. So I'm a little disappointed in this. I'm just saying that to you. But this is a nightmare that you're proposing for our coaches. So please don't go down that road.
John Acom, please.
A couple more things on that. One, when we did discuss it last, John Winkleman proposed some amendments to this item number 4 at that time, which John, to his credit, was putting together on the fly, and it was being transcribed as best as possible by Michelle on the fly, and I don't think that until tonight there was an opportunity to actually see in writing exactly what that was. And and again, in terms of whether or not we were doing it on television or whether or not we were doing it in the policy meeting beforehand, we discussed that at the time, and for good reason, I think, and in terms of the timing situation that we had in our initial meetings this evening, it worked out pretty fortuitously. So that's why we're doing it. Now, I don't think that any coach is involved in daily working with a kid. There may be some kids that require that. I'm not saying that they'll never be involved in working daily with a kid, because there may be some kids that are requiring that, but most don't. And again, the idea is, to be in touch with your kids on your team, and that's part of it. The whole thing about the fact that a kid with an F can practice is to keep that kid in touch with his or her team, and not only the mentoring from the coach, but the peer pressure from teammates. Come on, we need you. Got to get eligible here, and that's part of it, and that's important. That's what team spirit and team unity is all about. So I don't feel that we're putting an unreasonable burden on coaches. And as a matter of fact, I think that the idea that the alternative of not assigning responsibility is that it's all going to be up to the kids. And I don't know whether all of the kids that will rise to that bait or to that challenge. I know of situations that I've had in my life where that hadn't necessarily happened. So I think that it's appropriate for the kids and for the coach. And again, if you're a coach, you're going to do this anyway. A good coach is in touch with his or her team all the time, formally, informally, that sort of thing. And they know what's going on with the kids. They're providing that mentoring. They, in many cases, are providing a parent figure that otherwise may be absent from that kid. So I think to recognize that fact and put it in here, there's nothing in here about daily mandates.
Missy, please.
It certainly sounds like there are. You said the teamwork is get eligible. Well, we want all the kids to get eligible. That's why we had no Fs. And that's what we will kind of be looking at. But if we're going to be looking at everybody getting a 2-point again, and if they get a 1.8, are we going to say you still have to, have the coach go back and have them sit at a study table or get tutoring? Why did we change this? I mean, I think I do remember the 2.0 discussion, and it seemed like John did have something about that in there, and he took it out. And we did say, we hope the kids make progress towards a target of GPA of 2 point, but nothing about having mandating them to go to a table. Let's give this a chance. And it isn't going to prove anything if we're still after the kids. And when do you stop? Do you stop at a 1.9? Does coach have to go after the kid that hasn't gotten a 2 point? I thought that the whole idea of this was to allow kids, some perhaps not in the regular education class, that it may be very, very difficult for them to get a 2 point or whatever. We want these kids to be involved. And I think this is a good effort towards that.
I'm ready to vote.
John, are you calling
I'm
the
not
question?
making a motion. I'm saying I'm ready to vote.
I just want point of clarification. If a student is an ELL student or has an IEP, those IEPs or ELLs will be taken into account to as structured in number 3.
Yep.
John Acom.
Yeah, just one more point. The policy that we're going to vote on reads, and this is the original as presented, each student must be making progress toward the target GPA of 2.0 and graduation. So that's already in the policy. That's something that wasn't just inserted with my amendment. And I think that the idea of a 2.0 and moving toward graduation is an appropriate goal. It's not a requirement. We've gone away from that. That's the old days. So I would just say that really is already in there, and this just is talking about who's responsible for making that happen.
And again, I just want to point out, and I think we're ready to vote, but without this being a 1-year trial period, I'm not comfortable not having tutoring sessions. So I see no further discussion, Nora, and then I think we're ready to vote.
I just had one comment. Without the wording that John proposed, the last sentence of this says, "Will support coaches and students by tracking those students with Fs." But it doesn't say how or how often. That's completely flexible
It's
for
their
the coach.
professional job.
So that has not been changed at all. And then I also wanted to clarify, I misstated, it was brought up in the Policy and Personnel Committee and moved forward because not all board members were there and all board members wanted to take part in this discussion, so.
And now Missy.
Right, and this has nothing to do with the 2.0. In specific eligibility requirements.
Wait, we're on the amendment.
Oh, we're on the amendment?
Okay.
Good, we're not going to vote.
All right, so I'm going to call the question. Unless there's any opposition to calling the question, we're going to be voting on the amendment as presented by John Acom.
How does it read exactly?
Yeah.
John, can you read the amendment?
Tutoring sessions are available.
I will read it again in context. Tutoring sessions are available for all students. They are required for all students with failing grades as well as those not making progress toward the target GPA of 2.0. Progress toward, note that. As directed by the coach and/or assistant principal for athletics and activities.
Anybody hear how arbitrary that is?
So the motion's been called. The amendment has been read. I'm going to call for a roll call, Michelle.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Aye.
Nay.
And Todd, just for clarification, 3-3 Robert's rules, the motion as the amendment shall fail. Is that correct?
Correct.
So we're going back to the original motion. Is there any discussion on the original motion? At this point, I would request an amendment for it to read for a 1-year period, for a 1-year trial period, with the data with the data rubric as presented already.
How about just a 1-year trial period?
Thank you. If that's easier, for a 1-year trial period. Thank you.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
I have a question.
Missy.
If the data is kind of inconclusive, or if it doesn't show that kids are improving or that we're involving more students, then what do we go back to?
I believe that would be at the individuals that are on the board at the time, at the one-year
Okay.
review, would make that determination.
Okay.
Any further discussion? I assume this is not a friendly amendment. Therefore, I will call the vote on the amendment as presented, that this shall be a one-year trial period. All those in favor of a one-year trial period?
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed?
Nay.
Motion fails. We're now back to the original motion. John Acom, please.
I have what I hope will be a friendly amendment. Down in number 5, in the first sentence, at the end of the first sentence, any student who receives more than one F or incomplete for the last grading term and participates in a fall activity will automatically be suspended from competing in the first third of the regular scheduled season activity. And I would insert the words after activity unless ineligibility status has been erased during the summer. That's just simply to make it clear that you can erase that. And I know it's elsewhere in here, but I thought it needed to be clear in this context as well.
Sounds good.
So as the maker of the motion, I hear that is amenable as the second, or is that amenable as well? Outstanding. A friendly amendment therefore passes. Are there any other amendments or questions or discussion? Missy?
I just have a very specific question and specific eligibility requirements. It says a student has to be a full-time student in the school district of Beloit to compete or perform, and then it goes on to define what that is. Are we saying homeschool kids can't be in jazz band, theater?
What's the current approach?
It relates to WIA activities. To athletics that are sanctioned by the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association.
So why do we have perform?
I don't know. I guess it's a good word.
It went in there when it became an activities code.
That's what I thought, but it isn't going to be.
In this case, you're probably right, depending on, it probably doesn't need to be in there.
So it would be okay for homeschool kids to be in the
Can they?
fine arts field?
It is.
We actually, I don't want to make a universal blanket statement that it is, because we do have a policy with some specific requirements. So I would say it should refer back to, and I don't have the policy number
Right, there's
for
policy.
clarification.
Just a paren C policy, and Michelle, we can find it. 423.
So would you like to make a friendly amendment to strike the word perform and add parentheses referencing the specific policy regarding non-school district of Beloit?
423. is what she
423?
says. Happy to take it as a friendly amendment.
I don't know what that says, so I don't know. I mean, does that mean?
It's what governs.
It defines students that can participate in activities that are not full-time students of Beloit. It's exactly what you're referencing.
1, 2, then 3. Yes.
In the seconder of the motion, would you be amenable to that? Outstanding. Other discussion, questions, or statements at this time?
I will remind the board that we don't need a one-year time frame to bring it back. Policy and board can bring it back whenever we need to. So put it on the list. Something tells me it's on the list already. As the person who I see keeps the list.
The person who keeps the list may not be keeping the list in a one-year period. So, with item number 4 on page 72 in my packet, which I notice is maybe different in others, but number 4, one of the questions that I struggle with, and I know we say it's very vague, but it's a little vague for me, and having students that are in activities and in athletics, when you have that much indiscretion.
Where are you?
Number 4.
Which number
the
4?
tutoring sessions.
Oh,
going
we're
back
back
to
to
there.
that one.
The second sentence will support coaches and students by tracking those students with Fs. If we could clarify, is that 2 times a term? Is that weekly? Because those purple grade sheets I don't want to see again. And I think that that does bring forth the ability for those purple grade sheets to rear their ugly heads indiscriminately at any time. So could we put some parameters on there? Twice a term, which is where it is also referenced in other areas through the policy, or I would be amenable to some other suggestions. I would like some clarity there. John Winkleman.
Is this right? So as I read that and made the motion friendly amendment last weekend, right, last whenever it was, my assumption, which is a good point, Shannon, it's not an assumption, was that that would happen in the definitions, right? At the grading term and at the midterm, twice, done, not any other times. So that's the time when it has to be done, because that's the time when you get grades.
I would like to suggest that as a friendly amendment, that we clarify that when we say tracking, tracking can be interpreted so many ways. Tracking by definition or tracking by midterm.
So tracking those students with Fs at the midterm and at the
grading term?
4 quarterly grading periods, whatever makes sense to say that, at the grading term.
I would like to offer that as a friendly amendment.
I'll second that.
Well,
It's a friendly, so
Oh, I don't, you don't.
Steve has thoughts, but.
I think we have, well, it's friendly, so maybe we can have discussion before you accept it. We'll be friendly with one another, so Steve.
Again, this gets into the idea that we are putting language in there that causes a lot of things to happen, and I just really would like to rather see us at this point be in a trust factor where we are, because every coach can do it differently. We'll have coaches that will do this every single day, and I've heard coaches already use the different techniques that they use, and out of that becomes best practices that coaches can share with each other. If we put a parameter in there that is, that twice during a grading term, I think that we're limiting ourselves in what we could do. I'd rather just not. You have language says that they will track. Let the athletic director take, and as he does coaches evaluation, talk to the coaches. What were the tracking devices that you had? Show me the evidence that you had it. It's part of their evaluation, and we can go from there.
And just a point of clarification, the friendly amendment as suggested is specific only to the assistant principal for athletics, and activities will support coaches and students by tracking those students with Fs at the midterm and at the 4 quarterly grading periods. It does not negate the ability of an individual coach or an activity coordinator to increase those standards.
Yeah, we're setting the bottom bar. Just so everybody's clear of knowing when they could go to the AD and say, if I didn't track any other time, at least these twice.
Twice a term I'll be provided with my students.
Yeah, we would hope it's more than that. I'm going to guess it's going to be more than that.
Right.
This is automatically done anyway.
So again, the friendly amendment is to clarify that second sentence, because tracking is a wide open variable, that I would like to clarify the definition of tracking as being at the midterm and the 4 quarterly grading periods, specific to when the assistant principal of athletics and activities will support coaches and students. So would the maker of the motion and the seconder be amenable to that as presented? I'm here. Correct. Thank you both. Is there any other discussion at this point? Nora.
I just wanted to reiterate what John Winkleman said. Though it was voted down that this is not going to be officially reviewed in a year, anyone who would like to review it in a year or sooner can. So.
All right, folks, I think we've beat this one up enough. Unless anybody would be opposed, I'd call the question at this point. Therefore, all those in favor of 377 Rule 2 as presented this evening with the friendly amendments as allowed by the maker of the motion and the seconder, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Policy 6
Well,
What-
Madam President, I would offer, since in the interest of time and what we are working on expediency, and that we have worked these policies over pretty good coming up, so I would move the following G through Q as second readings. They deal with small revisions to board member code of ethics, a little bit about superintendent evaluation, talking a little more about principles of teaching, organizational instruction, school day, removing a few other ones that deal with daycare, outdated services, staff meetings, service personnel, payday schedules, and salary deductions.
Moved in seconded, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, John Winkman, for that suggestion. And those opposed? Motion carries. We are now at personnel recommendations. We have none this evening. We did, not that we're not hiring and not that we're not bettering, but we did accept and approve personnel recommendations last week when we met. Items for discussion or items of interest for consideration at future meetings. And we do have a full plate.
I have one.
Yes, John.
I think it would be interesting, and maybe Steve can have some pre-conversation, so I don't want to force our hands on this, but I would be interested to know how we might have some inroads into people that are new to Beloit. So maybe that's through chamber and business conversation or through others that are hiring in the community. But I think it would be great to be able to say to somebody new moving to Beloit, hey, here's the Beloit School District and here's what we're about, right? Take a special outreach to that question. I hear people that they do their online research, but there's no personal interaction. And I'd like to explore that a little more and maybe staff can think about it a little bit. I mean, you talk to chamber, you talk to others, but I would like us to maybe think about that as well, informed by people who think about this.
Thank you, John. Others? Seeing none, let's talk about our future board meeting dates. We have committee meetings coming up on January the 14th. That will include finance, transportation, and property, curriculum and instruction, policy and personnel. And our next scheduled business meeting is January the 28th, 2014. Unless there are any objections, at this point we shall be adjourned. Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. And all the above. Thank you, everyone.